All right. Okay, welcome back, everyone. After a break, Myra brought up Guy McPherson's prediction that humanity will be extinct in a few years, and that the final tipping point will be this fall that will seal our fate. I make the point that I completely disagree, because I believe humanity can do planetary scale solar radiation management in time to stop this exponential planetary overheating, to stop the death sentence. And it's just a matter of will. And our main topic of today, Operation Stone Soup, is a mechanism, a tool, which I believe will orchestrate the collective will to do this. Actually orchestrate humanity coming together and collectively willing to do this, and collectively figuring out all the solutions for us to do it. There's no simpler way to say it than this. Humanity, we all need to come together now in an intelligent framework like CSI and implement vital programs which will enable us to stay in the game as a species. And one of those vital programs is, one of those vital programs is feeding all people with whole food, plant-based foods that we deliver directly to everyone's home, right? And thus end pandemics and end hunger and malnutrition in one single stroke, as a vital first step, not the only vital first step. There'll be a bunch of vital first steps in parallel. Welcome, Jerry. Welcome, and feel free to say hello whenever it's good for you.
Hello, Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to see you here.
Thank you.
Welcome. Awesome. So we're in a conversation about saving life on Earth while we still have an opportunity to do so. And Operation Stone Soup is what we collectively, a bunch of us, are proposing to the world as a vehicle, as a tool for saving life on Earth. And it has 4 major pillars. Feed everyone whole food, plant-based diets by delivering the food directly to everyone's home, right? So basically, humanity, we reorganize ourselves to make one of the primary functions of civilization the preparing and delivering of food to everyone as an organized, societal collective endeavor, right? Now, what are all the mechanisms to make that happen? We'll figure that out. But the first thing is we need to agree that that's where we want to get to, right? And I'll say a little bit more about that in light of the present context. So in order to stop the present pandemic and even future pandemics, we need to stay home, right? And not go out and mix it up and spread it around. But there are a lot of people who can't stay home because they need to go out and get food. The number one reason people are leaving their homes is to get food. Yeah, is to get food and pay their rent and pay their other bills, etc. But food is I would say causes more trips directly and indirectly than any other activity by far. And so I think the only reasonable way that we can ensure that people stay home is by delivering food to them, which is exactly what China did. In the most populous country on earth, they put an end to that by delivering food to everyone. Everyone stays home and we deliver the food, right?
I think Italy did the same.
Italy did the same, yeah. So that's the way. Now, we have an opportunity to bump it up a few notches by doing it as a worldwide program and making it whole food, plant-based diet only, immune boosting, meeting all the nutritional requirements of people, and simultaneously eradicating hunger and malnutrition and pandemics in one fell swoop with this program. And then, so that's those are two of the four pillars of Operation Stone Soup. And a third is collective superintelligence, that we organize as a collective superintelligence first to do the food delivery, the food network, right? The plant-based food network, including farming, distribution, food preparation, and delivery to homes. That's going to require a massive superintelligence, and so that actually becomes the catalyst to bring us together. Who is us? It's all the people who believe in that we can do this and would like to help. All of us who believe in it would like to help. Let's all get together and do it. It's as simple as that, right? And we can do it as an organized collective intelligence that can actually become the world's first collective superintelligence, collective of humanity that actually goes super intelligent as a combination of the people participating, the technology that we're leveraging, and the culture and rules, etc., that evolve around essentially governing the community and the conversations. So through collective superintelligence, which at its core is a network of conversations just like this one, right? Spanning all relevant topics, which number deep into the tens of thousands easily. And finally, mastering this problem of delivering plant-based foods to everyone. Growing, harvesting, processing, distributing, preparing, and ultimate delivery to the end, to people's homes. That's going to require massive collective intelligence. And once we have that collective intelligence assembled to the point that we accomplish that, that collective intelligence can be used for so many other things, including, very notably, solar radiation management to cool our planet in time, what we were talking about a few minutes ago. The only way to avert human extinction, near-term human extinction, and extinction of most of complex life, is to cool the planet substantially. So planetary temperature has been doing this. It's been on this exponential rise. We need to do two things: stop it and then reverse it. And we accomplish both with solar radiation management. But to do solar radiation management, humanity needs to be organized. And Ugo, yes, you want to share? Go for it, Ugo, please.
No, I'm just sharing with you a very interesting video that I just found. This is for you to see whenever you have a chance, but I believe this will reinforce our will and desire to change this behavior in our way of feeding ourselves.
Gotcha. And is the essence about veganism, or is the essence about feeding everyone?
Is changing the methodology of our current way of feeding us.
And what is it in a nutshell? What's the punchline? I mean, like, what's the it?
Well, we are facing a lot of problems in our ability to live, among other things, because
did you say breathe?
No, the way we feed ourselves, but is among other reasons, because the way we prepare and consume our food and the treat on the animal's life. So that's the main topic on the video. I found it quite shocking and interesting, so that I just wanted to share with you all. So maybe later you can see it. And hopefully by the next time we meet all together, we can talk a little bit on on that one.
Sounds good. I'll check it out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It does looks very interesting. I was playing it right now, and definitely how we kept animals in cages for a lot of years to feed ourselves, and now the papers have been turned around. Now we are in cages. Jamin, I shared right there a little tiny paragraph of scientist Richard Feynman. He was a scientist back in the early 19s that believed, obviously, in quantum physics, and I guess one of the things that he discovered, but he couldn't prove it, is that the answer to everything is in the silence. Once we meditate and we connect with that inner source, we have that power of even cooling down the oceans or heating them up. But we would have to, like a big mass of humanity, I believe that probably we would have to be in this constant meditation and doing ancestral dancing. It's basically that divine female waking up and coming together and helping the masculine side come together also. So I just find it interesting if you read about that scientist. Excuse me, if you read about that scientist. And I did tell Guy McPherson about him. I told Guy that I was gonna get a hold of a few or maybe a lot of people within our organization and to put our main focus into Mother Earth, global warming, and clean up all that gas metano in the air and helping cooling the oceans, help Mother Earth heal. We know that she regenerates by herself, but we can also contribute in healing herself also as toxins that we have been, in a way, even though I don't like to use that, but I admit that I have been a toxin for years as a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Myra. Hi, everyone. I overheard you and I just wanted to add something. I really like what, Myra, you're suggesting. And I haven't read the updated Guy McPherson about extinction. We're facing extinction in 2 years. He's been pretty much saying that for a while now. And my personal belief is that whatever we contribute that's done in a loving way is of value, whether we have 1 more day or 2 more years or eternity to live here on the planet. And all these projects like the Stone Soup Project, these are all really valuable. And I think we just have to keep creating these projects because spiritually, these acts of love, they create that energy out into the universe, regardless of how long we're in physical body. So I just wanted to add that in. Love you all.
Hi, Melissa. So good to see you here. Yes, definitely. When we do actions of love and when we do everything from our hearts, we definitely make that rotation. We change the papers. Mother Earth starts healing. I mean, we're seeing that right now, day by day.
Totally.
Yes, this is beautiful.
Yay.
Now, about the Stone Soup, is that different from, okay, so I know the K-Mama is going to be the actual app. Now, can you tell me a little bit about the whole Stone Soup?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could think of Operation Stone Soup as sort of like the operating system, the big platform. And then K-Mama can be an app on top of that platform. But what the platform is basically an articulation of the whole program, the whole plan. The whole strategy, not just a part of it, but the whole strategy, right? Operation Stone Soup starts with 4 initial major pillars, but those are just a starting point, right? And it basically says, look, we need to urgently get on top of these 4 major pillars to save life on Earth. Or Guy McPherson will be right. The 4 major pillars are feed everyone nutritious, immune-boosting, plant-based foods delivered right to everyone's home, everyone on Earth. So we need to reorganize civilization, humanity, very quickly in order to accomplish this. And the good news is we can start with just one city and make a huge worldwide story of how we eradicated hunger in that one city. And from one city, we go to another, and then another 10, and then another 100, because this can all happen in parallel, right? It's not like we're one specific hunger eradication team that can only be in one place at a time. We can be everywhere at once with a sufficient number of humanity participating. It doesn't take everyone, just even 1% of humanity participating, and we can solve hunger. We can deliver food, we can feed everyone. So it's feed everyone, whole plant-based diet. And in the process, we eradicate pandemics. That's the second pillar, is eradicate pandemics. So feed everyone, eradicate pandemics. Those are the first 2 of the first 4 pillars. The next one is collective superintelligence. Our species going super intelligent, finally making that jump to light speed, if you will, of superintelligence that we're right at the cusp of. We have all the tools for it, and it's really a matter of will, right? And the 4th pillar is cooling the planet through SRM, solar radiation management, and doing that in time, right? That's what ultimately will prove Guy McPherson wrong, is us doing solar radiation management in time. So those are the 4 starting pillars, because those starting pillars give us a foundation for life continuing, right? If we don't do those 4 starting pillars, I just don't see how we're going to make it as a species in the very near term, right? Now, from those 4 starting pillars, with a foundation for life, everyone's fed. There are no pandemics. The planet's not overheating, right? With those, and we have a community of humanity, again, even 1% is more than enough, participating as a collective superintelligence in these conversations, in this network of conversations. So that's the basis of Operation Stone Soup. And the plan that I'm proposing, and I'm not the only one, so the plan that we are proposing to kick this off is by starting with one city. And I've often used the example of Louisville, Kentucky, so I'll use it again because it's put on the table as a city where we can start, where we, the bigger we, has good connections with the mayor of Louisville, who has proclaimed that Louisville is the most compassionate city in the country. Well, this is their chance to prove it, right? Let's go to, now I don't know that that'll be the city where we start, but I'll just use this as a placeholder. Imagine we go to Louisville, have a big press conference. And this is what we've been discussing with Silas and Dr. Priya and John Raymer, is precisely bringing all the experts that we need, all the leaders that we need to be there at the press conference when we announce to the world Operation Stone Soup, and say, these are the 4 pillars, this is the big idea, and we're starting right here in Louisville, delivering whole food, plant-based foods to everyone And world, we got 3 requests. Watch us, talk about it, share about it with everyone, regardless of what you think about it, share about it. And number 3, join the conversation, because to join the conversation is to join the movement. To join the conversation is to join the collective intelligence. And to join the collective intelligence is to push this forward all around the world, because we'll have people from all around the world joining the network of conversations, joining the collective intelligence. And so at the press conference, we say, hello world, this is Operation Stone Soup. We're starting right here in Louisville, Kentucky, feeding everyone whole food, plant-based foods delivered directly to their homes. And the bigger picture, here's the 4 pillars: feed everyone, eradicate pandemics, including all future pandemics. Eradicate pandemics. Yes, there will be viruses, but there will no longer be pandemics, because we will have the means of stopping pandemics by letting everyone stay at home and delivering them, plant-based foods to eat and boost their immune systems. That's how we eradicate pandemics. So feed everyone, eradicate pandemics, go collectively super intelligent. Build out, participate in this network of conversation. Go for it, Nolan.
I'm not sure if you saw or answered Jackie's question. It sounds like she has to jump to another meeting like right about now, and she was asking when the press conference is going to be.
Got it. We don't know yet. I'd like it to be very, very soon, and we collectively are in the process of getting ourselves organized so that we can finalize on a city and finalize on a date, but neither of those are figured out yet. And but I'd like it to be in the next 3 weeks, certainly by the end of May. Yeah. And the thing is, we talked about this earlier. I predict that someone is going to launch and announce a big major initiative to feed everyone, right? And I am committed that be us and not someone else that grabs the world stage, because I believe we have the complete story, the total story, the total strategy that this needs to be a part of in order to be successful and to boost the rest of it. And it's all symbiotic. To end hunger, we need collective superintelligence. But in order to get collective superintelligence off the ground, we need to give the people something to congregate around and support, to rally around. And that turns out to be feeding everyone. Everyone likes the idea of everyone eating. No one just inherently is born with this desire to see other people starve, right? Sure, some people become sick over the course of their lives and become pro-starvation, but that's a tiny minority. The over 99% of us want everyone to eat. And with this press conference, they will see that it is at least possible, and that there are some people working hard on it, and they're inviting you to join them and be a part of it. So that becomes, if you'll pardon my French, the shit or get off the pot moment for humanity. Are you interested in helping humanity, everyone get fed and boost their immune systems and be able to stay home when there are pandemics so that we can stop the pandemic? Are you game on all this? Thumbs up or thumbs down? It's black or white. Either you're with us or against us. And I think if we put it in these really clear black and white terms, I think that'll really spawn a conversation. It'll make people say, whoa, well, shoot, here is a real mega solution on the table. Am I for it or am I against it? I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that. Not whether you're for or against it, but what do you think about this framing? Will this draw people into conversation? What do you think? Going on mute.
Jamin?
Yes, Hugo.
I'm just thinking on what you just said. And I truly believe that despite the majority of people may agree on the idea of having possible to have feed everyone through a special mechanism to do it. I gotta believe that we need to realize that one thing is to have their agreement on the idea, but another quite different is to have them collaborating on the execution of that idea. And in that direction of thinking, I believe our next challenge will be what we need to do to gather the interest in the action of the majority of people towards the actions we need to concrete this idea.
Yeah, so let me just summarize the two main conversations that I heard you referencing. One is whether or not we should do this at all, or whether we should do something else. Let's just call that the questioning conversation, a very healthy conversation to have. And the second is for people who are past that conversation and they're like, yes, this is what we need to do, now let's do it. Two totally different conversations that can happen in parallel, because the reality is they will be happening in parallel. This is actually a big thing where I could easily be misunderstood. So let me say some things very clearly so that I'm not misunderstood. Okay? I could easily be misunderstood in people thinking that what Jamin is saying is that, oh, we do this press conference and then the whole world is suddenly going to agree and it's going to be one big kumbaya. That's not what I'm saying. What I am suggesting is that we do this press conference, we will spark a conversation. We will get people talking, right? Should we be feeding everyone? Right? And let the guy who thinks, hey, no, whoa, no, I don't think we should feed anyone. Let them go out and work and earn their keep. And if they can't do that, they deserve to starve. I would disagree with such statements. But if that guy wants to get up here and say that, let him. I'm certainly not going to stop him. Right? So what I want is to provoke conversations. And we do that by coming out with something very controversial. We're going to end, I'll keep using Louisville as an example. We're going to feed everyone in Louisville ongoingly. That's a hell of a statement. Who the hell do you think you are to feed an entire city ongoingly? You know, it starts to kind of what? And that's when the next big topic comes in. We're doing this partly to end the pandemics. You know, people for decades have accused the Chinese of copying. Well, for once, we're going to copy the Chinese. They stopped the pandemic in China by feeding everyone. We're going to do the same. So we're going to copy the Chinese. That's controversial. Feeding everyone is controversial because it feels like communism, right? Right? Telling everyone to stay home is controversial. We've seen that, right? And then, see, it's kind of like we give them these appetizers of ending hunger, ending pandemics, and then we come with, as we say in Spanish, el plato fuerte. Boom, the main meal, the main dish. And what we're talking about here is humanity coming together, forming a collective superintelligence, and solving all of our problems, starting with the most urgent. Feed everyone, stop the pandemic, and cool the planet. 1, 2, 3.
Feeding chipmunks.
Sure, sweetheart. Melissa is participating in the feeding of everyone, focusing on the chipmunks. So, you know, because the first two are very tangible and you can visualize it. Okay, people stay home. Look, China did it, so of course we can visualize it. We just have to look at what China did. Everyone stays home. We feed them. Okay, plant-based foods. That's not even the headline. Plant-based foods becomes a detail, right? Not everybody likes that idea, but I'm just telling you my opinion. And so those first two pillars, the first two of the 4 main pillars, are very, you know, tangible. Okay? China's already done it. So it's not like we're inventing anything new here. So we're repeat what China did. That's the first 2 pillars. But do it for the whole world. That's new. Do it now. And figure out all the ways that we need to do it. So that makes it very interesting. It spices it up. But once we've started with those 2 pillars that are easy to digest, you may not agree, but they're easy to digest, then we hit them with these other 2 that are basically in the realm of science fiction. Collective superintelligence, solar radiation management, right? Ooh. And either you, at that point, either you think, all right, these people are totally crazy and full of shit, or you're like, whoa, now you're talking, right? And what I'm basically saying is that all of this is going to be very controversial. I'm not expecting for a second that like some super majority of humanity is going to instantly get it, right? I will be happy with 1% of humanity jumping into the conversation, jumping into meetings like this one and saying, whoa, 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 I've heard about all this. And you know what? I support 90% of it, but there's 10% of it I just can't go with. But I want in the conversation. I want in. I want to support the 90% that I love, and I want to change the 10% that I don't love. I'm in. What I'm saying is if we can get 1% of humanity to come to the table and join the conversation, that will be huge. Because we'll have 80 million people participating in conversations like this. You know, 2% of them will be debating about veganism versus meat and dairy. Fine, let them debate. A couple percent will be debating about whether we should have big agriculture at all, growing huge amounts of crops, versus, you know, everyone should grow their own food. Fine, have that conversation. Others will be focused on the immediate logistics. How do we get all the food we need to the restaurants that we need, who can then prepare massive volumes, massive quantities of food, and then the delivery trucks to deliver the food to the neighborhoods, right? A lot of people will be focusing on those, right? Some people will be having conversations saying, stop, stop, stop. excuse me, we shouldn't be doing this at all. Let them have those conversations. All conversations are valid. All conversations are welcome. So what we are not proposing is that we form a movement where you have to agree with all 10 of these points to be in, right? Because if we create constraints, artificial constraints like that, we're going to be filtering out way more people than we're going to be filtering in. And we want this to be a mass conversation. Collective superintelligence is not about all of humanity agreeing with each other. It's about all of humanity getting into conversation with each other, starting with 1% of humanity. Well, I won't say starting with, but that, for me, that's a key milestone. Once we cross the 1% threshold, and we've got tens of millions of people in intelligent, actual conversations that are recorded, broadcast, transcribed, etc., that's collective superintelligence. To the extent they're all networked together, made searchable and all that, but that's now actually quite basic. Advanced search, we've been doing that for 20 years, right? Piece of cake. So we've got all the tools and components we need. For me, the single next big item on the agenda for us to do to get this moving is the press conference. Pick a city, get all the right folks on board, pick a date, pick a place, announce it to the media, show up, and we do it. And I could play some clips of a press conference that President Vicente Fox of Mexico and I co-organized together back in 2013 that was, I will say, similarly impactful, right? It changed the world and it changed the course of history, just as what we're planning for Operation Stone Soup will do. So we have all the expertise that we need to do this in our community already. What's missing is what we're doing right here, right now, is having all the conversations that we need to have to chisel this and sand it and polish it and get it ready, right? We are in final assembly of what may well be humanity's last best shot at survival. That's where I'm at. I'm working on the final assembly and working with all of you on the final assembly and tweaking and calibrating and perfecting right before launch. The singularity, the moment when the can opener, when that sharp disc of the can opener goes pop and punctures right into the can, right? That moment is the press conference. It's the day of the press conference. That's where it all comes together. That's where we announce to the world in an organized fashion that can be propagated very efficiently through various media. That's the moment where we propagate this story and we put the world on notice that this is happening. Not as yet another thing going around Facebook of the millions of things floating around Facebook. Oh, there's people in Vancouver doing this. Oh, okay, great. Oh, there's some people in Portland doing. Oh, okay, great. That's all background noise. This is about, bam. There's a group out there saying that they've got the solution to our problems, and they're inviting the world to a conversation about it. And in fact, they just did a press conference this morning. And they're committing to eradicating, to feeding everyone, to feeding the entire world plant-based foods, right? That'll be the meme that goes out there. The immediate question that comes to everyone's mind is, who the hell are these people? I might want to round them up and throw them in jail. So I'm not sure I like them yet, but I definitely want to know who the hell they are. Right? It's something that blasts its way in so loud that you simply can't ignore it.
Jamin,
Yeah, Fred.
do you have any idea who you intend to contact in Louisville? Because you want to give them plenty of time to digest it and get on board. I mean, you know, I'm concerned about their just, you know, we show up, we tell them what we want to do, and they need time to digest it. And then, you know, when the actual event takes place, how much time do you think it will take for the world to digest it and offer their opinions? And, you know, there's certainly going to be a lot of opinions, right? And blowback and this and that, and all the lobby groups and bullshit are going to, you know, get frightened that they're going to lose money or something like that. So how do we address that? I mean, the first message and presentation, as you've said, is clearly critical, that it's crystal clear and people can understand it. And like, you know, listening to the 4 pillars and all of that, I think, you know, it has to be presented in a language that the layman can take in, because we've been talking about this shit for forever and have, you know, and understand it at a level that somebody being initially introduced to it is going to go, huh? What are they talking about, or whatever. So, I mean, that, I think, in planning the message and fine-tuning it, we have to keep that in mind, because if we sound too presumptuous and arrogant, people are just going to go, who are these bones? You know? Who do they think they are? They're going to reorganize the world? Yeah, but I mean, if we really want it to be effective, then we have to plan it. I mean, the wording. We want them to be able to understand what we're proposing. And yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, no, you've raised a number of really good points. I'm going to address the last one first, because I think it's the juiciest. And that has to do with us coming out and saying big and bold this insanely presumptuous statement that we're going to feed the entire world. Who the hell do these guys think they are, right? Now, but let me go back to the press conference that President Vicente Fox and I organized in Seattle. That was the lead story the next morning on the front page of the Seattle Times, with the headline, "Ex-Mexican President Praises Shively's Pot Effort." And it's a picture of me and President Vicente Fox leading the press conference, right? It was beyond big and bold, right? In the days leading up to the press conference, when I was talking with the Seattle Times, and they printed this. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Love you, baby. See you soon. And they printed this quote in the Seattle Times. When they asked me, you know, how profitable is this going to be? Are a lot of people going to make money? I said, listen, we're going to mint more millionaires than Microsoft. Talk about controversial. That quote made it all the way to the floor of the United States Senate, right? Where the leading anti-cannabis legalization, you know, academic from Florida, I'll remember his name in a minute, he recited that quote. He said, when an ex-Mexican president and a Microsoft executive say that they're going to mint more millionaires than Microsoft. I mean, yeah, the whole Senate is just listening to this quote.
How can we get in?
Well, yeah. And because the thing is, I made it so controversial. I intentionally made it controversial, right? if we get up and do a press conference in Louisville that says, hi, we're some not very self-confident, well-intending people, and we're going to try to feed people, and we'll see how far we get. And if we don't make it, we'll just all go home, and sorry to interrupt everybody. Bye. No, we're going to feed everyone. Whole food, plant-based diet. They're going to be like, what have the aliens, have the Martians taken over? And now they're telling us what we can eat and that they're going to deliver and we have to stay home. What the hell is this? House arrest? Who the hell is this guy? Arrest him. Arrest that Shively guy. Right? He's trying to incite the overturning of our current order.
Arrest him.
Right?
What are all the burger joints going to say?
Yeah, exactly. And I had a similar amount of heat and controversy pointed at me after the press conference with President Fox. They should arrest that guy. And a lot of people are saying, he's going to get arrested. He's going to get arrested. Watch. Right? And it was awesome. But you see, that's how you get a conversation going, with controversy. Right? You're not going to have a conversation but a bunch of dudes getting together at a bar saying, hey, we're having a meeting over here about all of us who love our mothers. We're all talking about how much we love our, oh, great. There's no controversy there. Everybody loves their mother.
No, I agree that controversy is a good way to get people's attention. Then we have to have the verbiage to back it up in a way that, doesn't put people too much on the defensive, or they're not going to hear it. They're just going to get, say, fuck these guys. Who do they think they are? And I think controversy is a good way to get people's attention, but you have to be able to back it up. Anyway, we can talk about this more later. Okay. I just want to.
Or now.
Yeah. No, I want to think my idea through clearly enough so that when we talk, I'm not just shooting from the hip, that I know what I'm talking about. I just get ideas, when you're talking that I feel would be useful to consider, but not a program. I'm really concerned about the message and the presentation and what goes on in front of it and what goes on behind it. So, if we make promises that we're going to feed everybody, we're fucking ready to do it. And we have the resources in line. So it's not, haphazard and one step forward and two steps back or whatever. That would be a disaster. Anyway, go ahead, James.
Yeah. So for example, in terms of being prepared, the whole reason we're looking at Louisville is because one of our partners, John Raymer, who lives here on Whidbey Island, is friends with the mayor of Louisville. He's the guy who's running the Compassion Games. The city of Louisville is all in on the Compassion Games, and the mayor has actually done a video promoting the Compassion Games, right? And so that's why. And so we wouldn't launch this until we had certain minimum things lined up, like, for example, extensive meetings with the mayor and his best folks and his best pillars of the community of Louisville, et cetera, all of us on Zoom having meetings very much like this one, where we're hashing these important details out. We're not just going to go in there, shoot first, ask questions later. No, we're going to ask all the questions first, and then we're going to go in there with a bazooka and blow the thing over. They're going to call me Bazooka Joe by the time this is over.
And you said you want to do the presentation by the end of May, or by the end of May.
Yeah,
so
look,
like a month.
Look, if we had to do it in 1 week, that's more than enough time.
Really?
To have the conversations, if we have the right people in the room. What we need to do this week is we need to figure out what city we're going to do this in. And we need to get on a Zoom call with the mayor of that city and whoever they need to bring in. And that will kick off, you know, a couple dozen hours of conversation that are absolutely crucial that need to happen.
Will there be, I mean, choosing the city to do this in will partly be determined by proximity of resources, right? Like food.
No.
The food, no?
Let me tell you why. Every city in the United States gets fed every day, regardless of proximity to resources. Nome, Alaska, in the middle of winter, eats every day. Why? Because they bring in food. So it's not a function of, is there food within a 10-mile radius and da-da-da-da-da and all the hyper-local and all that. No. It's because this solution will ultimately be rolled out in every city, regardless of proximity to food. So that's not really a metric of interest. What is of interest is the mayor committed? And is the mayor willing to commit along with us and say, yes, I commit that we will permanently eradicate hunger and malnutrition in our city through this vehicle. And we'll also eradicate pandemics through the same vehicle. And yes, I believe in collective superintelligence and cooling the planet. So there's, you know, there's a relatively high bar that the mayor has to clear if they want to hang with us and be a part of this press conference.
And have him still be mayor.
And have him still be mayor. Well, listen, if you feed your entire city, you eradicate hunger and malnutrition, I think you're going to be pretty darn popular at the next election. It's kind of hard to imagine otherwise. Yes, Hugo.
I might miss some previous conversations, but I feel a little afraid to ask this question. in this idea, where the resources will come from to get all this food and be able to feed the people? Are we expecting to have the government to provide that? Or can you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for starters, it'll be 100% donations, right? Between the K-Mama app and people just writing checks, right? And part of it will essentially be, even though we won't frame it in these terms, it'll effectively boil down to sponsorships, right? Why do big Fortune 500 companies put their brand name and logo on a stadium and sponsor the stadium? To get business, right? So here's the thing, like, again, go back to Louisville. There's a lot of reasons why Louisville is a great place to do this. There's a lot of wealthy people in Kentucky, and the mayor knows a lot of them, and the governor knows a lot more. And once they're on board, we'll say, look, the bottom line is this. This is the beginning of the end of hunger. Do you want to go down in history as one of the companies and philanthropists in Kentucky who supported this? Or do you want to go down in history as one of the philanthropists and companies in Kentucky that did not support this? UPS is suddenly under the spotlight, right? Because they're the richest company in Kentucky, right? UPS, how about it? Right? In fact, UPS, here's what we'd like to offer. Come to the table, you know, donate some money to help get this started, a few million, whatever, but also be at the press conference and say UPS is here to support logistically Operation Stone Soup. So UPS, you can either be conspicuous in your presence or conspicuous in your absence, but there's one thing I guarantee you, UPS, you will be conspicuous. So, you know, it's some very gentle, but I think very persuasive arm twisting that the mayor of Louisville can do. I can't do that, but the mayor of Louisville can sure as hell do that, right? Likewise, there are other companies in Louisville, other rich ones. There are other rich people in Louisville and in Kentucky generally. And there's a lot of corporations out there that we can tap and say, do you want to be a part of this? right? Conagra or ADM might donate a bunch of grain. I don't know. I would if I were them, right? So it's partly a matter of getting the right players, the right stakeholders at the table, right? And yes, having the right initial support so that we can say, all right, we've got the resources to feed Louisville for the next 6 months, and we're starting. See, with Stone Soup, they didn't even have enough food to feed people for 6 minutes, but they started with a stone. Now, I'm saying we start with a little more than a stone, right? You're on mute, Fred. You're on mute.
I said, yes, it's not a fairy tale, what we're doing. Our Stone Soup, you can't put stones in it. And I know what you're saying. Archer Daniels, Midland, and Conagra, that will be a real interesting stroke.
Well, here's the thing. Look, if they see the direction that this is going and they see this as a trend, right, they're going to want to be first in line, not last in line, to fulfill on the grain contracts to keep people fed. This is a great way to make themselves first in line.
Isn't ADM? Oh no, that's another bad. Monsanto is the one doing the engineering, bioengineering.
GMO.
Monsanto's going to want to get in on this.
I don't think we want Monsanto in on this.
No. Anyway. A lot of preparation.
And we're doing the preparation right here, right now. This is preparation. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the only game in town. I don't even know of a number 2 game that's worth playing. If anyone can tell me, tell me. Operation Stone Soup is where it's at. It's our lifeline for survival.
Yeah, Jamin, I just have a question about the priorities of the 4 pillars. I've been under the impression that SRM is the first thing that has to happen, because if we don't do that, there's, all the arable land's going to burn up, and, all the crises that will develop from that if we don't cool the planet. And it seems like we're far away from that conversation. So, I mean, starvation, mass migration, all of that stuff happens when, there's no place to grow food. Anyway.
Yeah, that's our, the single most urgent thing that humanity needs to do to save life on Earth is SRM, planetary scale SRM. But you have to then ask the question, what are the conditions that would support humanity doing SRM in time? What are those conditions? And right now we are rapidly heading toward a Mad Max world. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's going to be borderline impossible to do planetary scale SRM in a Mad Max world, awash in pandemics, starvation, war, skirmishes, and exponential runaway planetary overheating. It's going to be virtually impossible. But if, on the other hand, we are able to unite humanity through food, through conversation, right? Those are the 2 main things, right? Listen, if everything is all screwed up in some town and you want to get things right in that town, throw a big meal for the whole town. Food and conversation, right? Get people together. Food and conversation.
Jamin,
Mm.
Let's go back for a minute on this idea of having the press conference and be ready to invite all those key players to support this project, this idea. Have you think who could be against that idea? I believe we should think on those that are just about to appear and say, no, I don't like this idea because it's affecting me. In this scenario, who could be that player? You follow me? I believe we need to anticipate that possible scenario. I believe we need to understand who could be in the position of fighting the idea, and by understanding the mechanics of that, be prepared.
I agree. Yeah, because there will be resistance. You know, whether it's right or wrong, they're just, you know, it's an inevitability. Yeah. So, I gotta go, you guys. I'll be back.
All right. See you
Good
soon.
one. Okay.
Thanks. Well, I think right out of the gate, we can expect big meat and big dairy to be opposed. Beyond them, you know, if this were in normal times, if this were not pandemic times, I would expect the restaurant sector to be opposed. But the restaurant sector is practically bankrupt right now. And we're actually offering a lifeline to the restaurant sector, which is to do the food preparation and get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they will be neutral to positive. But yeah, go ahead, Nolan.
Just want to throw in here something that it hasn't been talked about, I don't think, in this group, in this discussion, but it's already applicable to me, to my brother, to some other people we know, which is, and millions of people, which is, so right now we have some special unemployment terms in the United States. And basically, if you make less than, basically, if you've worked minimum wage, even if you're working full-time minimum wage, right now you will make more money on unemployment. So there's a weird thing that's happening with restaurants that a lot of them, probably the majority of them, are paying minimum wage, where they're starting to plan for reopening, and everybody's like, well, I'm supposed to be getting over $600 a week every week through the end of July. So why would I go back to work right now? I'm going to make more money literally not working. Part of the special terms of the unemployment during the crisis is you don't have to be looking for a job. So that's another thing that's really going to impact the the restaurant, the food industry. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, I just asked myself, how might that impact us? And basically what we're going to be doing is, let's say, take Louisville. We're going to be looking for maybe, I don't know, 10 restaurants out of maybe 1,000 in the city to work with us, right? So it's not like we're trying to get the whole sector to get on board. We're looking for a tiny few, right, to work with us in doing high volume food prep and just being a part of this new network. So I don't think these very significant trends in the restaurant sector right now are going to impact that, because there's enough of them who are shut down, who are hungry for work, right? And when we look them in the eye and say, okay, if we contract with you, you're telling me you can get the workers? Yep, I can get the workers. I've got them banging on the door. We're ready to go. Okay. Right? See, that'll be one of the criteria for selecting a city. Is, are they ready to go? If they're not ready to go, sorry, no, can't get any restaurant workers to come in and work in our okay, well then you're not ready. We're going to go with a city that's ready. And even if it's all volunteers, they don't even have to be workers. They could be volunteers. A lot of people are going to want to get on board with this and be a part of history in the making. And the end of hunger, the end of malnutrition, the end of carnivorism, and the end of pandemics. Anyway, that's my immediate thoughts. If others have more thoughts, jump in. I'm going to go on mute. Great conversation.
Well, I'd like to get clear about what it is we'd be like. Well, I don't even want to say, even saying we, and even including that in the question I'm about to ask, is kind of hiding up the, basically what is the service, to provide here, and not in some big abstract like, okay, we want to eventually have everyone in the world fed, and not just fed, but projected to continue being fed indefinitely, which is very different from just trying to provide temporary aid to somewhere, leaving that place, realizing that aid is unsustainable in a part of the world that is completely not used to what you're introducing to it, right? It's like, trying to go from one way of life and one people to a completely different way of life and people. There's gonna be challenges there, and like that are kind of very hard to anticipate until you go out and. Anyways, what am I saying here? I'm just wondering what would we be saying we're responsible for? And I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to think short-term, practical.
Well, if I'm not interrupting,
You're fine.
You're hitting on the two main questions that the press conference needs to answer immediately. Who are you and why are you here? So who is the we is a very relevant question. We'll get to that. But why are we here? We're announcing Operation Stone Soup, and we are committing to feeding everyone in Louisville ongoingly from this point forward as a public service. Whole food, plant-based diet. And we're launching this broader planetary initiative to do the same thing in all communities all around the world. If we can do it in Louisville, we can do it everywhere. Yes, Hugo.
Again, I'm just thinking about that precise moment in which we could get out on this press conference. Who is gonna jail? Oh no, I disagree with this. And I was just looking at what happened here just a few minutes ago. In our last break, I invited a friend of mine, was Jerry Montero. He said, okay, I will join the conversation. And as soon as he was hearing the word vegetables and vegetarian, he said, oh no, this is not for me, goodbye. He left. So I presume that once this press conference is done, that will be the exact reaction of many people who is accustomed to have a big fillet in their tables and saying, oh, I appreciate your offer, you know, but I really prefer to keep on dairy and meat diet, so I won't play this game. And so I'm just concerned about what will be the scenarios that we are going to face in that precise moment. Because yes, I'm with you. I'm positive, and I'm convinced that we need to change and reshape our world if we want to be here in the next few years. But it is not going to be easy, and the more we identify the obstacles and the rejections for people, the better we get prepared to cope with those objections. I think the more chances we will have to succeed, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there will be objections that we'll be able to predict and objections that we won't be able to predict. And I think the most important thing for us is just to be very, very clear what we stand for, what we believe in, what we are promoting, what our core message is here, right? And there are questions that I can't ask, such as questions pertaining to nutrition and metabolism and immunology and all this, but we'll have a whole team of doctors that can answer those questions. So it's getting the right experts there. So it's not any one of us that has to have all the answers, but a big enough team. The team has the answers. And it may take more than one person on the team talking, bouncing it around. I mean, we can apply collective intelligence right there in the press conference. It's not like we have to have this is the answer. It's like, gee, that's a good question. We never, hey, what do y'all think? And then we start talking amongst ourselves, and we start demonstrating and practicing collective intelligence right there. And by the way, it's definitely not going to be easy. I never thought it would be easy. It's also not necessarily going to be that palatable. It's this weird combination You know, delivering plant-based foods, viruses, too much heat, too much stupidity that we can replace with intelligence. I mean, this is just this you know, it's just this really weird combination. But it's like you go to the doctor, you got some terrible disease. Listen, here's the thing: you have to change your diet, you have to take these medications, you're gonna, you know, boom, boom, boom. You wanna live, you got to do all these things. Well, do we want to live? Do we want to live? And do we want to perpetuate life on Earth or destroy it all? I want to live. I want to perpetuate life. And for me, this seems the most powerful vector for achieving that. So, on with the conversation. Here we are in final assembly of what could be our last best chance at saving life on Earth. Onward. So I would say specific objections, speak them as they occur to you, and we'll handle them right here. This is our practice. This is our training for the press conference, right here, right now.
Yep. So, with this idea of providing a public service of feeding people, we are not by any means saying people are not able anymore to spend their money in any other ways to do what they want to do in order to feed themselves, right? That will be very key on the premise in the statement that we're going to do in the press conference. And what I foreseen happening after that, I mean, after the majority of people experience the solution and convince themselves that this was a great idea and actually took place and resolved a primary problem for many people, I will say, I will think that then we will be scoring our first goal in the game, right? I mean, by accomplishing this success on pillar one, then we will improve our chances to move on the next step. So right there is another good reason for being well prepared and make sure that this is going to work. We cannot fail on that one, you know. I got the feeling that we could not have a second chance to do this right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and this may take more preparation than I was originally estimating, because we do need to work out quite a number of things. But it's not so much time as the metric as it is person hours, right? And person hours of the right mix of people. And so it actually comes right back here to collective intelligence, right? Can we build a community of people who are committed to getting this done and who are willing to jump into the conversation? You know, all this is making me think that perhaps one of the most important things we can be doing right now is joining other people's video conferences related to food security, to hunger, to feeding people, right?
Mhm.
And say, hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, Jamin Shively here from radish.org. We're working on a program called Operation Stone Soup, which we're going to be launching in one city and spreading throughout the world. And here's the big idea. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, you like it? You love it? Well, join us. You know, we meet every Tuesday and Friday. Join us. Right?
Yeah, I would say that that is a very good idea. The more alliances,
Allies.
allies. Thank you. The more allies we can get beforehand, it's going to provide us with the best chances of first understand all the complexity of the problem and make sure that the solution that we may want to offer is fulfilling that problematic, and of course having all these type of organizations that are or have been working on the very same issue, it's going to play in our favor. I mean, not in our favor, in favor of the humanity in intent or attempt to solve this problem. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, how can we identify those organizations or other conversations that are going on somewhere with this topic? Do we have the contacts? Can we easily reach them and easily get in touch with them? How long this could take us to be done?
Yeah. Well, let me give a couple examples. One way, and we did this, a couple weeks ago, we, on one of our meetings, we screen shared and we went on Eventbrite. And on Eventbrite, they have all their public meetings that are open to everyone. They're all listed there. And, you just search for the word hunger, or, there's a way to search where you choose what category of meeting. Is it about a social or charitable cause? Yes, boom, go there. And then anyway, you can scan through, and so that's one way. And we actually started looking at this a couple weeks ago. Another way would be to go on YouTube and search, just type in hunger and just see what meetings, what groups come up. Search for Zoom hunger, something like that. I'm just thinking of creative ways, but we need to share with each other whatever ways we find of finding, these groups that are already meeting on the topic of food security, hunger, etc.
What about the possible directory available on the United Nations, the Organization of United Nations? I believe there are a special organization like the FAO that might have an extensive list of entities or government and governmental organizations that are working currently on the hunger issue. Could that be another resource for us to go?
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, whatever city we go with, it'll be partly because the mayor of that city is 100% committed. They will bring in all kinds of resources from within the city. They have the keys to the city.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we can work with the mayor's office and communicate to all the organizations around the country and even around the world who are working on ending hunger, and invite them to participate in a project to eradicate hunger and malnutrition completely. I mean, just push it so far off the table. It's not just off the table, it's out of the room, out the front door, past the driveway, across the street, and 10 miles away. I mean, it's just gone, right? This is the holy grail of food security, what we're talking about here, feeding everyone. It's the maxed out holy grail. It becomes the Rolex watch of food security, because it is so holistic. It doesn't just do relief. It doesn't just deliver food. It focuses on what kinds of foods, plant-based, immune boosting, what kinds of scenarios to like end pandemics, with intelligence, with super intelligence built into it, and keeping the whole planet cool and therefore able to produce food. So it's the first solution that really looks holistically at the whole world and says, how do we do this? Right? I got to talk to the crows for a second. Hey, Dequan. 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 Hey, Dequan. You know, mommy doesn't want you to eat those foods there because of the, all right. An ongoing conversation with the crows. Hey, Dequan. Hey, Dequan. Sorry.
Did you call them?
Yeah, well, I talk to the crows. I sing to the crows every day. We feed the crows here. And right now he's taking some food that correspond to the chipmunks and squirrels. Let me just deal with that for a second. Hey, Dequan. Dequan. Clap. 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 I talk to them in their language, or I try to. So, I mean, what we're creating here, it could not be any more maxed out, right? It is the maxed out version of the food security conversation, the pandemic conversation. Jorge, welcome, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Jorge. We're on the subject of, do you know the story, Jorge, Stone Soup? That old, okay. It's a story about how, well, I'll just tell the story really quickly. So it's like the end of World War I, and communities are devastated. And you've got these three soldiers who are walking across the French countryside to go back home. And they're hungry, they're tired, and they stop in a village and to see if they can maybe get some food and a place to sleep. And they say, well, you can sleep here, but there's no food, right? So they say, there's no food. Well, what do we do? And so they say, well, does anyone have like a big pot? We're going to make a soup for the whole town. Does anyone have a pot? Well, yeah, here's a pot. So they clean it out, they fill it with water, And one of the soldiers goes down to the river and gets a smooth, clean stone, cleans it off really good, takes that clean stone and puts it in the bottom of the pot. Does anyone have firewood? Where can we get? Well, over there. Okay, great. Let's get some firewood. And they build a fire, put the stone in, and now people are fascinated. What's going on here, right? And somebody who's got a bunch of carrots stashed away that they didn't want to tell anyone about, but they'll go bad if they don't eat them. They say, well, hey, can I contribute these carrots to the soup? Sure. So they come and put some carrots in the soup. Somebody else has some surplus onions that they weren't telling people about, but they'll go bad if they don't get used. Hey, can we put the onions in the soup, right? And between this and that and this and that and the other, the whole community contributes what they have a surplus of. And in the end, it's a big soup for the whole community. Stone soup. But it all started with the stone. You see, the stone symbolizes a lot of things. It's the starting point. It says, come with the intention and just start, right? You don't have to have the whole thing all mapped out, but just start and commit to it publicly. They did this in the middle of the town square, right? So they made it very public. And they brought the community together. See, this whole effort that we're doing. So Operation Stone Soup builds on that story, but takes it to the world. And also makes it entirely plant-based, whole foods plant-based. And the idea is that we feed everyone by reorganizing our food networks, and that we start this process in one city. One city where we may start is Louisville, Kentucky, Western Kentucky. So let's say we start there. We would do a press conference announcing to the world our intention with Operation Stone Soup, which, by the way, in the United States, easily 90% of people know the story. It's very, because they tell it in school and here and there. So a lot of people know that, certainly in the United States, and I think it came from Europe, so probably in Europe it's very common as well. And we'll call it Operation Stone Soup. And we'll say, we're starting in this one city. We'll line up it has to be a city where the mayor is fully on board, fully supporting. And we'll bring in people and resources, right, to the table, because we will put their city on the map. If it's Louisville, Kentucky, we will put Louisville, Kentucky on the map as the city that ended hunger first, and sourced, prepared, and delivered food to everyone, because part of this is the delivery. By delivering food to every neighborhood. So we'll have trucks going around, not little Uber cars with one meal, right? But trucks with hundreds of meals. And we'll find the best solutions in terms of reusable packaging and things like that. So it's all very efficient and very eco-friendly. The single most eco-friendly thing about it is it's all plant-based. No meat, no dairy, all plant-based. And very nutritious. Immune boosting, so nutritious it boosts the immune system. And this gets to eradicating pandemics, because this way people will be able to stay home when they need to. We deliver you the food, right? But even when there is no pandemic, we maintain it as an ongoing service to feed everyone. It's way more efficient to have a big kitchen, big industrial kitchen, producing huge volumes of food, producing. And then we deliver to the neighborhoods so that every household, every family, and even homeless, everyone eats every day, 3 meals a day. Can you imagine a world? Can you imagine living in such a city? You live in a city where no one's hungry. No one's malnourished. There's no haves versus have-nots, right? Oh, we're up here. We're doing great. You're down there. Oh, sorry. No, there is no sorry, because there is no wrong. of not feeding everyone.
Who is gonna pay for it?
Yeah. So just like with the story Stone Soup, right? That would be like asking the soldier at the very beginning, with what food? Right? Show me the food. Show me the money, right? So what I have in mind is that we start with one city and we line up donations so that we have enough resources between donated food and donated money that we have enough resources to get going for maybe 3 months or something like that, right? We do the press conference, we launch it, and then it goes out to the whole world. Now the world has an opportunity to contribute to it. And we ask the world, we say, please contribute, right? And we put a challenge out there. It'll be called the Compassionate Billionaire Challenge. Is there a billionaire willing to donate $1 billion to this, right?
It's going to be under some non-profit organization?
Yes, there would be a nonprofit organization built for the very first city we do this in. So I imagine each city would have its own nonprofit. So, but it would probably be city by city, or in some cases, county by county, right? If it's a rural county and there's only 30,000 people in the whole county, you know, do it, have one nonprofit for the whole county, right?
What else the group is going to do besides donate food? What else do you have in mind to collaborate with the community?
Yeah. So there's 4 major pillars to Operation Stone Soup. And two of those pillars are at a very local level and 2 are at a planetary level. The 2 at a local level are feed everybody and end pandemics. Because if we do and this is just like what China did, if everyone stays home during a pandemic, everyone stay home, we will deliver food to you, right? If we do that, then we stop the pandemic because everyone's just isolated in their home and we deliver the food in a very, very safe way. Very, very safe with all the proper procedures, etc. That will probably have to be developed newly because we haven't been in this situation before. So, but of course, you know, we've got lots and lots of really good food safety standards and all that. So there's very, very good material to build on. Feed everyone, end pandemics, that's local. But of course, ending pandemics locally all over the place can end the pandemic for the whole world. So that becomes part of the global. There's 2 other pillars that are truly global. One of which is collective intelligence, which is what we're practicing right here in this meeting, but taken to a planetary scale. So instead of one Zoom meeting here, it's a whole network of Zoom meetings spanning a whole bunch of different topics. Some meetings are focused on certain geographies, certain locations. Others are focused on nutrition. Others are focused on agriculture. All the topics that are related to getting this whole thing done. And the 4th pillar, which is also planetary, has to do with cooling the planet. So right now we're overheating exponentially. We can stop it, the overheating, and actually reverse it. through what's called solar radiation management, or SRM. And that's the fourth pillar. And we look at it as a whole because it addresses all the needs of supporting life on Earth ongoingly. See, right now we're at a place where we're extinguishing life on Earth, right? Hundreds of species per day are going extinct, and the planet is rapidly overheating, which could wipe out pretty much all of complex life, especially if you consider all the nuclear power plants that would then melt down because there's no one there to maintain them. So the four pillars: we need to feed everyone, so redesign our food networks, not just to feed the rich, but to feed everyone. Because if we don't feed everyone, if half the population ends up starving, there's going to be so much violence and conflict and refugee crises and this and that, that it'll be very hard, and that'll actually add to the spread of disease, pandemics, right? They'll spread even more. So we have to feed everyone nutritious, plant-based food, because it's humans eating other animals that creates pandemics. That's the root cause. But then also humans eating animals and animal products has devastating impacts on the planet and on ecosystems and species generally. So those are the reasons why we need to go plant-based. We feed everyone. We end pandemics, all pandemics, now and in the future, because now we have the vehicle to do it, which is feeding everyone. That's the main vehicle for ending pandemics. Simple, right? Then collective intelligence, this whole network of conversations where people can jump from conversation to conversation and find those conversations where they contribute the most effectively, right? That's collective intelligence. That's necessary to keep the whole machinery going, to redesign the food networks, make sure we have all the resources we need, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That all takes collective intelligence. And then the fourth pillar is cooling the planet through SRM, because if we don't cool the planet, everything burns up, everything's dead. We're all dead, all the plants are dead, dead, right? So obviously we don't want that. So that's why cooling the planet has to be a vital part. So these are the four, think of these as the four main food groups for saving life on Earth. Feed everyone, stop pandemics, get smart, get collectively intelligent so that we can do all the other things and cool the planet.
Do you have any time frame to achieve all those four pillars?
Yeah, well, in terms of time frame, let's first talk about the mechanism or the strategy to get all this done. What's the first step, the second step, the third step? So the first big milestone is the press conference in one city, like Louisville, Kentucky, right? We do that press conference, we kick it off. All the media is watching and filming and taking pictures as we're preparing huge amounts of food and delivering it to the people. Everyone's gonna see it, everyone's gonna love it, and they're gonna say, oh my goodness. And next thing you know, right, as we say in Spanish, de la noche a la mañana, you're gonna have hundreds of cities calling up and saying, hey, we want that program too. Please come here and do it here too. Everybody's gonna want it, right? The collective intelligence will form. So our message to the world is, okay, everybody wants this, everybody come here to this network of conversations. Join the collective intelligence so that together we can work out every last detail, right? To make this work for every last community all around the world. So there'll be specialty conversations on exactly how to prepare lentils in the best way, all the way to very general conversations. How do you transform a whole food network that's in rapid transition anyway? Right now, everything's in transition. So what we're proposing is a framework to give order to the chaos and to address the most fundamental needs of people and of Mother Earth.
How the people is gonna get in touch? Do you have any web page link, or how they are gonna
Yeah.
meet us?
Yeah. We will have web pages, Facebook pages, etc. And those details are yet to be worked out. Right now, we're still working on the big idea, looking at it as a whole and saying, okay, what do we think? This is relatively new, this big idea. In fact, it's been 10 days since it first was hatched at a meeting. And we've been having meetings every couple days, going deeper and deeper into this.
Yeah, we already start some action. Maybe I saw you before with I think her name is Mayra Armas. Yeah, I saw you before with her, and the Universal Red Brother and Sisterhood, they already are in action doing some projects. They have a international college of vegetarianism, and they are giving a free conference to the people that is already vegetarian, and is working in quite a few countries. And also they promote the integral health, which means they give you tools to be healthy in the physical way, emotional way, mental way, and spiritual part too of the human being. It don't matter what kind of religion you practice, but at least they have the tools. So maybe you already know about that, and there is the connection to collaborate with the project. And there are, I think, a couple non-profits. At least I am aware that we have in LA. So we could use that one too.
No, I love it. You know, here's the thing. It's like there are so many organizations all around the world working on feeding people, right? And this is actually an opportunity to invite all of them to join us in a conversation about finally solving the hunger problem all around the world. Solving it holistically, taking in the perspectives of the farmers, the citizens, the families, including food they can grow inside their own homes, right? Backyards, indoor, outdoor, hydroponics, etc. That takes in the perspective of the restaurants, food service, deliveries, logistics, right? Donations, and and even how do we structure this whole thing to begin with, right? Do we do it on the basis of money? Is it all money, and we buy the food that we need, and we pay the restaurants and pay the drivers, pay, and it's all money? Or do we find a way to do it without money, where it's all donations, right? And the farmers, right, do it with volunteer labor, because we create a whole huge volunteer community to work on different parts of this, whether volunteer drivers, volunteer picking produce, working in the fields, on the farms, etc. Volunteers helping people set up, hydroponic grow operations in their own home, right? Volunteers for that. So lots of opportunities. So I think this is a huge opportunity to bring these different groups together, right? These different organizations together who've been working on it already, and say, look, we're basically now going for the gold standard. We're going to take this all the way, because now we have something that we never had before, which is the possibility of all of us getting connected through collective intelligence. So I see a huge opportunity for food networks, nonprofits, religious organizations, government organizations, all the above. If you're working on food and feeding people, you have a golden invitation to join us and to join the collective intelligence where we are all working together to end hunger forever, right? With these 4 pillars: feed people, end pandemics, collective intelligence, and cool the planet.
And also, I should add another pillar, not just the food, because part of the lack of awareness of the people is the habits that they have in life. So drugs and alcohol don't allow them to have a good state of awareness. So we should have there some kind of free disciplines like yoga, martial arts, and senderismo. Go to the mountains, practice meditation there and stuff like that, because people needs to change the habits. They need to be aware that they are killing themselves when they are doing drugs and alcohol and smoking and stuff like that. So that's another important pillar for the people to change, because if they don't stop intoxicating themselves, it's hard for them to distinguish that they are intoxicating our planet.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah, so it needs to be holistic. And in fact, I think, one of the words that just permeates this whole conversation is healing. This is all about healing and getting people off of drugs and alcohol is a significant part of that. Spiritual practices, physical practices, exercise, sports, meditation, yoga, martial arts, all these things you mentioned, Jorge. All part of holistically healing humanity, healing the individual, healing families, healing communities, healing our whole species as one species. And I believe that projects such as Operation Stone Soup can really help bring us all together. Just bringing all the different food organizations together to talk about this and work on it together, right? As one big decentralized planetary movement. Because what we're not proposing to do is to do this as one big nonprofit, right? We would support nonprofits being formed city by city, county by county, right? But the collective intelligence, which is planetary, which is just a network of conversations, the collective intelligence would look out for all these different communities because it would have members from all the different communities, right? And if you need help with this or that technical question or farming question or whatever, then boom, boom, get right through to the group or the individual who can help you answer your question.
Yeah, Jamin, you mentioned just a couple minutes ago that you're holding at least a couple meetings every other day or something like that. Who is the team that is backing you up on preparing all these things?
Yeah.
How many people are behind this project?
Yeah. So the core people, we've formed kind of a core team of me, Dr. Silas Rao, Dr. Priya Naik, and John Raymer, who's the head of the Compassion Games. The four of us have kind of taken the lead, but it's open to everyone to participate, just like we're participating right now. And so my two big weekly meetings are, I'm making this the focus. So it's something I'm just spending dozens of hours per week talking about, writing about, pushing forward. But then our big weekly meeting where we get really focused on this is on Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, Los Angeles time. We meet at the Collective Intelligence Block Party. The information for that is up on radish.org. Yeah, everyone's welcome to both of these meetings. This one on Tuesdays and the other one, which is Friday, Saturday. We spent probably most of the time this last meeting, the last block party. The block party goes for 24 hours straight. We start at 6 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, and we go 24 hours till 6 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, Pacific time. So, and it's through these meetings that all these different possibilities are emerging. So we're applying collective intelligence to it right from the beginning. And it's very open, radically inclusive. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is invited.
Again, searching on my mind about the possible allies that we could go and get it. Have you been approaching organizations like environmental, not big organizations like Greenpeace or something like that, but all those others that are all along the continent from Alaska to Tierra de Fuego, that are currently working very hard on both, making the consciousness on people about the need of changing a way of life in order to preserve life on Earth, and also in some way working on this intelligence, on collective intelligence, because they are little by little trying to reach each other. I know, because I know a few of them, a few of these people that are making such a great job locally, and I guess if we could be able to reach them all and provide these ideas to invite them to join us on this block party on Fridays, I'm pretty sure they could provide us with a great deal of ideas and support and resources of any kind, human resources, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's something like this being done by some group of the people participating already in in the meetings on Fridays or not? I'm just wondering what kind of efforts have been done so far.
Yeah, no, I really like the points you're making. Let me just see if I really got what you're saying, which is that there's all these local groups working on different environmental initiatives, or even people initiatives like food, whatever, right? But they're just local groups with a very local specific focus, right? And what can we do to invite these different groups to join with us, right? And really connect with the collective intelligence and bridge that gap. I really like the way you put that, because it's totally true. There is a gap, a major gap, right, between all these local groups that basically communicate with each other locally. They get together locally and define what they're going to do, and then they go do it. And the collective intelligence of this network of conversations like this one, right? So basically, in a very organic way, people in our network are reaching out to people they know in their networks, just like Myra reached out to you, right, to join this conversation. So that's a perfect example. So it's just happening organically, but it needs to happen a lot faster. And that is one of the main reasons that I really want to do a press conference, so that we can get the attention of the world, right? And get everyone listening, not everyone, but say 1% of humanity. Hey, there's this group that's got this unique combination of solutions to save life on Earth, right? To end hunger, end malnutrition, end pandemics, these pandemic diseases, and cool the planet, so that we can keep on living, right? And they want everyone to eat plant-based foods, and they want everyone to join the collective intelligence to make all this happen. Wow, that's a story. Even if you don't like it, don't agree with it, never joined, you're still kind of interested. Who are these people? So that I can hate them, right? If that's what you choose. Hey, if you're looking for something to hate, there are people out there looking for something to hate and criticize. Hey, we're happy to contribute, to give them, if they're going to hate and criticize something, let it be us, right? Because then it's like that expression, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? It doesn't matter so much what they're talking about you, but that they're talking about you. So that's partly, and this gets back to what we were talking about earlier with Fred, is that we actually want for people to, we want to be controversial. We want to be big and bold. We want to make these huge statements and promises, right? To get people's attention, mainly because we want people to support and join. But if they want to criticize, great, please do. Please talk about us. Say anything you want, but please talk about us, because we need to be talked about. And because of all the people talking about us, some will actually join and start talking with us. And that's how the collective intelligence will grow.
I think we should approach the community centers in our city, because they have the space, it's free, and they are with ideas similar to these ones. And we could work in there in the community centers of our cities. And it's a good place to meet the people and share these ideas with them. And we have a place also to do some activities and the healing objective of everyone to practice something to heal an integral way. right?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. We're all one human family. We all need to get there together. So I think community centers are yet another great example. In fact, it's kind of hard to think of an organization we would not want to reach out to, right?
Yep.
Okay, James, Hugo, I don't know who else is here, but I'm gonna do something else. But I like this meeting, so I'm gonna try to be in Fridays, 11 o'clock Pacific time, and I'm gonna invite friends and just be connected to see when can we materialize this project.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jorge. And remember, go to radish.org.
Yeah, I already did, and I have the link. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Jorge. Look forward to seeing you on Friday, and please bring all your friends.
Okay.
Love to see you. Okay. Thanks, Jorge. See you soon.
Okay, Jamin.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you that I'm really surprised about the stamina that you have to go on and on and on and explain this over and over and over to us. But I believe that that's the only way to be able to sell one idea, to see the change in humanity. You have to start somewhere, and I believe you are doing great. Now, it is time for us, the ones joining this type of conversations with you, to do our part. I would like to commit on a little bit on the contribution by saying that I know several people. I run here in my city a very small group of environmental people who is concerned about all those things that we are talking about here. So what I would like to commit with you is that I'm going to start speaking about these ideas with them and with other organizations that are our partners or brotherhood on these type of organizations. So the main idea is to let them be aware of what is going on and extend the invitation to them to participate in this and the conversations on Fridays. So hopefully we can get more people, right people, and with that start contributing on the creation of this collective superintelligence. Okay. So
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you, Hugo. Thank you very much.
you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
And what a great example you're setting.
Okay. I gotta go now, but I really feel grateful with you for your efforts, again, your stamina to do this over and over. I hope I can be at the level to
Yeah, well, here's the thing. At whatever level, you're welcome, and everyone is welcome at whatever level. I really appreciate your stepping up. Wonderful. But really, we all give what we can. We all do what we can. And so I just appreciate everything you're doing, Hugo. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, see you then this Friday.
Yeah, and we start at 6 o'clock in the morning, so join anytime. You can come and go, just like this meeting. Feel free to come and go, no problem. We're here.
Okay. Okay.
And
thanks a lot.
Thank you again,
Bye.
Hugo. Take care.
Bye now.
See you soon. All righty. How's everybody doing? I'm seeing some good thumbs up, good energy from James and Natalie. And I know Fred had to step out for a bit, and So did Melvin. Emery, Nolan, how you guys doing? All right. Well, I think I'll pause recording for a little bit.